Some days my mind feels like a room full of open tabs, and prayer feels out of reach. If you felt that too, stay with me. This moment is for you. When I moved into this home 2 years ago, I had this dream of filling it with real houseplants. I sometimes pretend I'm Joanna Gaines, so of course, houseplants felt essential, a way to bring life and softness to our space. What I didn't factor in was my now 19-month-old who at around 7 or 8 months discovered the plants too. He loved the leaves, but he was not as gentle as I hoped. And so I found myself repeating almost like a mantra, plants are our friends, plants are our friends. Eventually, he understood, and now he wakes up and waves to a few of them, like they are part of the family, and they are. But lately, he's been drawn to the trailing ones. One morning, he wandered over to the pothos and wrapped his arms around it. And from where my daughter and I stood, it looked like the sweetest hug. And we both whispered, "Ah, how sweet." But my mom, standing at a different angle, moved quickly toward him because from her vantage point, it looked less like a hug and more like a wrestle. And something about that moment stayed with me. Not the plant, not even the hug, but the way the same moment can look completely different depending on where you stand. As the week went on, that moment kept returning to me. From one angle, tenderness. From another, tension. And somehow that became a picture of prayer for me. Because prayer isn't always one thing. Sometimes it feels like a wrestle. The kind where you are holding on because everything in you feels stretched thin. The kind of prayer that feels like persistence. The other times, it feels like an embrace, a soft collapsing into God when you don't have words left. The kind of prayer that feels like resting in His nearness. But in both angles, there is this shared truth. Prayer is God holding us and us holding on. Not holding on to win, not holding on to prove anything, just holding on to receive. That's when Jacob came to mind. We meet the part of his story in Genesis 32. Jacob's life has been full of grasping, even from the womb. His name means supplanter, hinting at the patterns of striving and maneuvering that marked his early years. Jacob wanted the blessing, the birthright, the favor, and he often reached for it in his own strength. When we catch up with him in Genesis 32, God has told Jacob to return home back to Canaan, back to Esau, back to the brother he deceived. Jacob obeyed, but he is terrified. Genesis 32:22 to 30, reading from the NIV. That night, Jacob took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he had crossed the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he had not overpowered him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched. As he wrestled with the man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go until you bless me. The man asked him, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he answered. Then the man said, "You will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and humans and have overcome." Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." But he replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." The Hebrew word for wrestled also means to grapple, to cling, to hold tightly. Jacob wasn't just fighting, he was holding on. When the man said, "Let me go," Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." This is the moment the wrestle becomes an embrace. Jacob stops wrestling to win. He starts holding on to receive. There are moments when prayer feels like a fight. I'm holding on with everything within me, refusing to let go because the matter is too urgent and too heavy to release. And then there are moments when prayer feels like leaning in for a hug. No striving, no pushing, just sinking into Jesus' arms. Because I don't have anything left to offer except my need. Some days after holding my children and responding to every need, I just need to stretch my arms and lean into Jesus the way my children lean into me when they need to be held. Jesus promises, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." What moved my heart as Jesus spoke to me while I reflected is this: whether I am wrestling or embracing, Jesus is in both moments, with his arms around me. In the wrestle, he steadies me. In the embrace, he holds me close. In both, he's right there. He stays. Jacob walked away limping, but blessed. He was wounded, but transformed. He was held and renamed. And maybe prayer is doing the same in us, not just changing our circumstances, but changing us. How do you pray when life feels rushed and heavy? Sometimes it's leaning into God for a hug. "Lord, hold me in this moment. You made me worthy of a slower, gentler way. Show me." Sometimes it's creating touch points, a whispered prayer after a phone call, a breath of gratitude when I drink water, a quiet "Lord, be near me" while I'm washing the dishes, because he meets me in the ordinary. Jacob's night was like that too, and maybe our prayers are as well. Not always neat, not always gentle, but real and honest. Prayer is us holding on to God in joy, in fear, in exhaustion, in hope. And God, like a patient father, holds us right back. This is the Unhurried Way, a rhythm of intentional living, where your heart, your mind, and even your body learn to move at a pace of grace. It's a posture, a way of being, shaped not by hurry but by abiding in the presence of God. A way of living where even in the busiest seasons, you can remain guided, grounded, and deeply satisfied in God, because impact does not require hurry.